Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. For today's video, I'm going to be reading my subscribers' scary stories. So if you guys are interested, grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. So now let's begin with our first story. Hola Daisy, I just recently came across your YouTube channel and quickly became a fan and subscriber. My family and I have had many experiences, some good and some scary. So let me share a story about one of my family's experiences. When we purchased our first home, we were so excited. Shortly thereafter, we learned that we weren't alone. At the end of the first week in the new house, my ex-husband admitted to me that he was having trouble sleeping. He said he could hear children laughing and playing in the hallway. I myself had not heard anything, so to ease his mind, I told him, if they were laughing and playing, then they're happy, so we shouldn't have any problems. We left it alone and he stopped hearing things. A few years later, my ex-husband and I started to have marital problems, and that's when strange things started to happen. In the first incident, I was in the restroom and I could hear my daughter crying. I screamed out, "Leave your sister alone or you're going to get it when I get out of here." The crying continued. I was getting upset, so I ran out straight into my daughter's room where I heard the crying, but no one was in the room. I stomped into the living room, still upset because I thought my kids were messing with me. All three of the kids were sitting in the living room watching TV. I asked, who was crying? They all looked at me surprised and said, no one was crying. I said to them, you guys need to stop messing around. What's going on? They were looking at me like I was crazy and stuck to their story. So I finally gave up and left it alone. In the second incident, I was in the kitchen with the refrigerator door open looking for something to make for dinner. I hear from the other side of the fridge door, Mommy. It sounded like my daughter, con una ansiedad. I said, yes, Mama, hold on, I'll be right with you. I closed the fridge door and no one was there. So I walked down the hall into my girl's room and asked, what did you need, Mama? They looked at me and said, we didn't call you. I figured maybe it was my son. I knocked at my son's door and asked, and he said, it wasn't me. I blew it off and said to myself, it must have been the TV. The exact same thing happened to me a few weeks later. Mommy, with the same urgency as before. This time, I closed the door to the refrigerator. I realized the kids were not home. They were at their dad's for the weekend. I was scared. I slowly walked down the hallway looking in all the rooms. Thank God, I saw nothing. In the third incident, my youngest daughter had a habit of playing with her imaginary friend. So I thought. I would ask her, who are you talking to or playing with, Mama? And she would say, nobody, and giggle. Sometimes I would stand at the door watching her play and talk into her closet. I would ask her, what are you doing, Mama? And she would say, just playing, and giggle. At times I would hear laughing, so I would go check on her, but she was always playing alone in her room. Then one day she finally admitted it to me, that something was messing with her. I asked, how so? She said, when I am in bed, something tickles me or sometimes something pushes me. That scared me. It's one thing to mess with me, but not my kids. I spoke to my mother, who is a very religious woman, about what had been going on at the house, and she said that she would ask the ladies from the church to see what they thought. They came over, and we all stood in the living room in a circle holding hands and praying together. Then they moved down the hall and into all the rooms praying and anointing holy oil. Afterward, they asked the kids to go to their rooms because they wanted to talk to me. One of the ladies said, "Se siente una tristeza en esta casa." That they could feel sadness in the house, and that could have been from all of the emotion distress from the divorce. Then she said that she felt something very evil watching us from afar. She looked out the front window and said, there, abajo de la luz, that it was out there across the street. She continued, hay algo, y tiene a tu marido bien atrapado. She warned me not to stray from God because there were things out there just waiting to catch us if we fall. After that, things settled down and things got better. The house was happy again. About a year after all of this, I met someone and we moved away from the house for a while. And that's another story for another time. I guess things seem to follow us around. Thank you for your time, Geneva. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, girl. Hopefully I'm not butchering it. Sorry if I am. But yes, thank God that you were able to get out of that house. Right when I was reading that part of your daughter having her imaginary friend, ooh, that reminded me of a story, of a video that my friend Janet Ochetos, she's here on YouTube, you guys, go subscribe to her. I love her. She sent me a video from TikTok. You guys, I'm just gonna put it. Just watch. So that video was playing in my mind when I was reading that part when your daughter says that she's in bed and she gets pushed. That seems of darkness. It does not seem of light at all. We do not invite that here. We do not invite that anywhere. Cancelado, cancelado, cancelado. Canceled, canceled, canceled. But of course, yes, please send in the rest of the stories. I would love to hear them. But thank you so much for writing in this story. So now moving on to the next story. Hi Daisy, my name is Maria from Castleberry, Florida, a suburb of Orlando. Please be patient with me because I'm not the best at writing, and even writing what I've experienced for so many years, it gives me anxiety. I have so many stories, but I'll start with one of the scariest days of my entire life. It was October 9th, 2018. That night, I could not fall asleep. First, let me say that I am sensitive. I feel, see, and hear spirits. That night, they would not let me sleep. I prayed to God, my spirit guides, as well to Michael the Archangel, to please protect me from anything that's not from love and light. Okay, so my husband was admitted to the hospital and I was home alone. Being that there's so much paranormal activity in my home, I hated being alone. But finally at 7 a.m. I put on a sleeping mask because the sun was coming up and I really needed to sleep to visit my hubby at the hospital. At 7:06, all of a sudden my entire body was paralyzed and could not move. I felt a hand touch my ankle. I thought for a moment that I was having a night terror, since I get night terrors frequently. The hand worked its way slowly up behind my leg and was rubbing it as it went up to my buttock and up my back. I was screaming, "Get the off of me," but I didn't know if I was saying it out loud or in my mind. I struggled to move, but I couldn't. Finally, I screamed out, "In the name of Jesus, get off of me." Only then it let me go. I was so scared, I immediately called my husband at the hospital and told him what happened. He told me it may have been just a night terror because, like I said previously, I get them frequently. I was so upset that he didn't believe me. Daisy, as I was talking to him, I looked up to my cameras in my bedroom and said to my husband, "Oh my God, it has to be on camera." I have cameras all over my home because my hubby gets seizures and I can watch him whenever I have to leave the house to run errands. I immediately hung up and I reviewed the footage and saw a large bright orb under my sheets that started at the foot of my bed and went all the way up to my back. I was so relieved when I saw it because I knew it was real and it actually happened to me. I called my sister at that moment and I told her what happened, and she also told me it was a night terror. I told her, nope, I got it on video. I immediately sent it to her through WhatsApp, and when she finished watching it, she called me back and told me her entire body got chicken skin. That morning, even though I was without sleep, I packed a suitcase and my 2 dogs and ran out of my house. I stayed with my sister till my hubby was discharged from the hospital. My sister and I went to a place in Orlando, Florida called Avalon. They sell all types of crystals, sage, anything that has to do with the spirituality. I told the woman what happened to me and I offered to show her the video, but she declined and said to me, "I believe you." I felt relieved when she said that. She told me she's a psychic medium. She sees 3 angels protecting me and they were always with me. I was in shock because I already knew that, but that's another story I'll save for another time. Anyways, I purchased everything. She recommended doing a deep cleansing in my home. When we got home, I immediately felt the thickness in the air, and even though I live in Florida, I have a large skylight in my living room. The house looked dark. FYI, my sister is also sensitive, so she told me she felt it upstairs. We opened all the windows, doors, cabinets, drawers, etc. We had to open anywhere that spirits can hide while smudging a home. We started praying to God, my spirit guides, and Michael the Archangel for protection. Daisy. It got so intense in my home. I literally felt the air blowing all around me. By the way, I forgot to tell you that I've purchased an antique mirror that I have over my fireplace. The psychic medium told me that it is a portal, and that's how they're coming in and out into my home. I will insert pictures of the mirror over my fireplace as well as orbs coming in and out so you can see for yourself. I wrote with lipstick on the mirror 2 circles. One said 100,000 Buddha's realm and the other angelic realm, like the medium instructed me to do. During the prayer, we told the spirits they have 2 choices. They can go to the 100 Buddhist realm or the angelic realm. If they do not choose one, I will choose one for them. I demanded these spirits to leave my home because it's my home and I'm not going to share it with them if they're not from love and light. Finally, when we were done smudging, praying, and putting the sage in every nook and cranny in my room, I felt the air was no longer thick and I could breathe so much better. My home became bright again and I felt an amazing peace within me. My sister said, "It's gone." Needless to say, I felt comfortable coming back home, but I never let my guard down. I still have paranormal activity in my home, but have not gotten attacked again, and I pray I never do again. I hear and feel spirits till this day, but I do not feel threatened in any way. Second story. I've owned my home since September of 1995. I purchased this home in the same subdivision where my dad had his home. I moved from New York City after my dad had a heart transplant in 1993. I knew he was going to die and wanted my son, who was 3 years old, to get to know his grandfather before he passed. My dad passed away in December 1995, only 3 months after I purchased my home. After he died, I saw my dad in my house, but no one believed me. My mom told me I had to go see a therapist because I was going crazy. I knew I wasn't crazy. One day, I was peeling potatoes to make mashed potatoes. I turned the TV on for my son to keep him entertained while I made dinner. All of a sudden, I hear my son talking to someone. I thought he was just talking to the TV like most kids do. But then I heard him say, "Come, Grandpa, I want you to see Mommy and say hi." I immediately looked towards the living room and I asked my son, "Who are you talking to?" He then said, "Mommy, I was talking to my grandpa, but you scared him away." That gave me validation that I was not imagining things and I actually was not crazy. My son is now 32 years old and he remembers what happened to him. He's seen spirits in my home to this day. Third story. This story goes back to 1973 when I was 7 years old. I've been able to see people that have passed on since I was very young. My dad was in the army away at Louisiana in boot camp training. I had 2 sisters and 1 infant brother. We had bunk beds and I slept on the top. One night, I was sleeping facing the wall of my room and I felt someone put their hands on my head and gave it a kiss. I heard a voice say, "Be a good girl with your mom." At that point, I turned around and saw my dad. I was so excited to see him. In the morning, I smelled breakfast. My mom was making pancakes, which were my dad's favorite, so I immediately got up, ran to the kitchen, and asked my mom, "Where's Daddy?" She said, "Daddy is away in training." I was so confused. I told my mom, "No, Daddy was here last night and gave me a kiss and told me to be a good girl." My mom thought I was messing around with her. I started to cry because I knew I saw and heard my dad talking to me. My mom told me it was my grandfather who passed away 4 months before I was born. I was his first granddaughter and he was so excited and couldn't wait to meet me. He looked and sounded just like my dad. My mom showed me a picture of my late grandfather and sure enough, he looks just like him. So the man I saw that night indeed was my late grandpa. But back to my first story, I looked for the video but it stated it's too large to send. The only way I'm able to share it is through WhatsApp. But I did insert some of the still images that I do have. I do have more, but I would have to locate them in one of my old phones since I went from an Android to my iPhone. Well, let me know if you want to hear any more of my paranormal experiences. By the way, you have my authorization to use my pictures. One of the pictures I edited so you can see the face. That one really freaked me out. Can't wait to find the others so I can share them with you. I was so freaked out that I disconnected the cameras for a while. I only activate them when I go out so I can watch my husband to make sure he's okay. But keep posting your videos. I really enjoy watching them and hearing other paranormal encounters. Sending you and your family positive energy. Namaste. Besitos. Love and light, Maria. Besitos to you too, Maria. Thank you for writing in. Hopefully you guys were able to hear me. I was like above, like forward. Hopefully you guys were able to hear me. But we are gonna be looking at those pictures. I have them all right here, so let's look at them together. You guys are seeing the pictures that she sent me and you can see here is the mirror that the lady said is a portal. And if you zoom in a little closer, you can see the little face that Maria is talking about. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, I don't know, that does look like a face to me, but I also see other faces. But this doesn't look like a dust particle to me, I'll tell you that, okay? But thank you, Maria, for sharing in your stories and sharing the pictures. If you're able to share that video somehow, please send it in, girl. Just by the pictures, I'm super curious on how it looked in video. But again, thank you, Maria, for sharing your 3 stories. Your last one made me very sentimental. I tried not to cry, guys, because anything that talks about grandfather, ooh, me pongo a llorar. I start to cry, but I really try to keep it together for you guys. But thank you so much, Maria, for sharing in your stories. Now moving on to the next story. Hello, Daisy. Blessings to you and deepest condolences as well. Thank you. I would like to share a couple of my experiences when I was in the service in the Philippines. The first one was in an apartment I shared with my girlfriend off base. Weird stuff was always happening in this tiny apartment, but the worst was when I was asleep one night. I used to sleep face down with my feet hanging over the end of the bed. I was suddenly awakened to the feeling of someone or something grabbing me by the ankles. My ankles were held so tightly I was able to lift myself up by bending my knees. It was pitch black in the room and I couldn't move any further. It was like I was paralyzed. I could barely make a sound. I was so rattled. I was able to sort of swing my body a bit and was able to hit my girlfriend in the face. Unintentionally. She angrily ran and turned on the lights, and whatever was holding me stopped as soon as the lights turned on. as if they had never been there. For over a week, I had marks on my ankles that looked like handprints, but not quite human handprints. The next encounter happened shortly after that incident. We were looking for a different place to live, obviously, and my girlfriend found an actual house for rent for an incredible price. I know. First clue. We spent the night without any problems, and the next day I started to move our stuff in. I heard a sound upstairs and I thought it was my girlfriend. I went up the concrete stairs to investigate, and there was a very pretty Filipina girl, not my girlfriend, at the top of the stairs. To this day, I can still see her. Hair parted to the left, light blue t-shirt, blue jeans, and white tennis shoes. She was real as you are, just standing there with the smile on her face. When I got to the top of the stairs, she suddenly got this weird look on her face and ran at me with her arms held forward like she was going to push me down the stairs. I instinctively jumped to the side against the wall and then realized there was no way she could stop herself. I had closed my eyes and was kind of waiting for the sound of her falling, but nothing happened. When I opened my eyes, there was nothing there. When my girlfriend did arrive, I was sitting on the front steps with all of her stuff packed. She asked why I hadn't unpacked, and all I said was, "We're not staying here." We stayed at a hotel for a month before we found a new place, but it was worth it. Hope you like these stories, Ivan. Yes, I did. And imagine if you stayed in that house for longer. If you were already experiencing that the second day, what would you have experienced if you would have stayed? Oh God, good thing you didn't find out, right? Good thing. And the price, it's always kind of sus when the price is a little bit too good to be true. It's either it's haunted, someone died there, what else, you guys? There's some internal problems in the house, but at least it didn't follow you. It wasn't attached. It stayed in that house. Now it makes me wonder what happened in that house. Who knows? So that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any scary stories that you would like to share, please send it in at daicyspooks@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you guys very soon. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in my next one. Bye.